Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Township of Malahide, October 5th at 7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll begin with disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none this evening, we'll move on to approval of previous minutes. Any errors or omissions on the minutes from our last meeting? Just make sure everything is okay. Good. So may I have the resolution for the minutes, please?
That the minutes of regular meeting of council held on September 21st, 2023 be adopted as printed and circulated.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Cerna, Counselor Leach, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, we do not have presentations or delegations, so we will go right into reports of department. First report, Director Godby, Waste Management Calendar Update. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. Report number PW 2357 is our annual waste management calendar update. This is essentially an information report for you and for general public of staff's plan to publish the waste management calendar online again, as well as to have limited print copies available at specific locations and to deliver it upon request to residents. That is what went on in 2023. It was very well received by the residents, and essentially it resulted in an overall savings of, I believe it was around $1,500 of printing costs and mailing costs that we no longer had to incur. So 2023 being kind of the benchmark, our plan for 2024 was to repeat the same program. At the same time, we've also attached a copy of the calendar to this report. And this is all information that will be made available on the website. People can print it themselves, or they can get us to get them a copy. We're happy to do either. So if there are any further questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments? Seems like we have something that works, can fit anyone's preference. We're willing to accommodate that. So that sounds like it's working. So may I have the resolution then?
That report number PW 23-57 entitled Annual Waste Management Calendar Update be received, and that the annual waste management calendar continue to be made available to residents through the website, at municipal buildings, and mailed to residents upon request.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis, Deputy Mayor Widner, all in favor? And that's carried. The next report is Director Boylan, Municipal Drainage Financing Policy. Please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to formalize the township's drainage financing process through a policy adoption. So the policy table tonight for council's consideration would allow for benefiting landowners to repay costs related to Drainage Act capital projects over a 5-year term. That's what we currently offer anyway. We're just formalizing that through process. We allow debenturing over 5 years if cost per property exceed $500. We're also adding through this new policy a 10-year debenture available if the cost per property exceed $10,000. And we're also defining how interest is calculated on Drainage Act projects. So overall, the policy isn't a huge departure from our current process, but should be appropriately documented for staff and the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to Adam. Adam, do we sell many debentures?
We don't typically. The debenturing is a result of a non-response. So we'll issue a letter informing benefiting landowner that they have an obligation related to a drainage project. And if they don't respond, what this policy allows us to do is automatically debenture it on their taxes rather than hit them with a single year bill of like an excessive amount. So typically we're seeing, given the option, they're selecting private lending options rather than going with the township debenturing.
Thank you.
Counselor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, wouldn't it be more economical for them to go through the debenturing as opposed to going out to a bank or lending agency?
The way the policy is constructed is to make it essentially as equal as possible. They may even be able to get more preferential rates through private lending options. The township's really not in the business of lending money, so this isn't a core function for us. Again, it's more to deal with those non-responses so that a property owner doesn't get a massive tax bill and have to figure out how to deal with it.
Any further questions? Seeing none, the resolution.
That report number FIN 23-15 entitled Municipal Drainage Financing be received and that the municipal drainage financing policy be approved.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Cerna will move. Counselor Wilson will second. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have a zoning bylaw amendment. And we have Mr. Steele with us online.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome. Do you want to give us an overview of the first one is the Ron McNeil line, Ontario Land Tribunal decision.
Yes, thank you. Certainly the purpose of this report is to provide information to council and update them on the result of an appeal of zoning bylaw amendment D14-Z10-22 of property at 51403 Ron McNeil line. This application was denied last year on October 20th by council and was subsequently appealed to the OLT or the Ontario Land Tribunal for a decision on that appeal, which was verbally rendered on June 7th of 2023, and a written decision was subsequently issued in August of this year. The outcome of that appeal was that the OLT approved the application and permitted a reduced front yard setback of 3 meters for the proposed 6-unit apartment building, whereas the bylaw required a front yard setback of 6 meters. And so this time with the approval of the appeal by OLT, the proposed apartment building would be able to comply with the requirements of the bylaw and development would be able to proceed on the property. And as a result, as part of that decision, the township is required to pass the bylaw that would permit the reduced front yard setback, which was attached as part of the council agenda. Additionally, informing council that since the decision of the OLT was issued, the applicant on behalf of the owner of the property has submitted a request for consideration to the township to explore options of using an unopened road allowance that is adjacent to the property to the east for vehicular access for the proposed development. Staff have received this request and are currently in the process of reviewing this information and are intending to bring forward a report to a future council meeting with further information on the request and any recommendations and comments from staff for council to consider before making any decision. That concludes our presentation. Had any questions from members of council?
Thank you. Comments or questions? So this evening, the purpose of this evening is to approve the bylaw. And that one we have no choice, and then to direct staff to prepare a report with the recommendations. So any questions or comments on that? Councillor Wilson.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is my first dealings with the Land Tribunal. I wasn't on council when this all started, but it's sort of a tough pill to swallow when you just have to do what they say. It doesn't matter what whether it fits. It's just they go about it, and now you do this. It's that's a little bit that's a tricky one. Anyway, more of a comment.
Right, and what the tribunal is tasked to do is to look closely at our bylaw and make sure that it's a fair request and the amendment that's being requested is fair also, so yeah, and I think we've discussed in the past that our current zoning bylaw did allow for this kind of build. Any further comments, Councillor Glinski?
The tribunal didn't, Madam Mayor, the tribunal didn't order us to open the road allowance along the side of that. So that can stay closed if we so choose.
So that's the part that is going to be explored by staff and with the developer, and the subsequent report will come with recommendations, yeah. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I noticed that Nathan sent us out an email and there was maybe some concerns with some typos and stuff, and there was a concern that it may not be legal if it's not corrected, but maybe you can correct me on that.
For you, Madam Mayor, perhaps I can clarify. So we have questions was raised by council on within the OLT's decision. They simply reference the date of the council meeting that the application was denied. Was referenced as October 20th, 2023, as well as to October 20th, 2022. There's council question regarding would this impact the ability of council to pass the bylaw? I did contact the OLT case coordinator earlier today, however, didn't receive a response back. However, considering that this typo doesn't really impact the findings of the OLT and their decision, I would not anticipate there be any kind of concern with passing the bylaw, considering the bylaw, there are no issue or there's no errors within the bylaw itself. However, I'm not a legal expert. That would be my opinion, that in terms of a planning perspective, that wouldn't impact the township's ability to pass the bylaw this evening.
Thank you.
So that's a good point to raise. So we'll have the minutes show that we are aware there is a typo in the bylaw, but you're right, it doesn't change the substance of the decision. So, but just, to be safe, if the record shows that we're aware of the bylaw and the typo, it will be corrected, but we can proceed with approving the bylaw this evening. And if that proves to be wrong, if we receive different advice, then we'll pass a corrected bylaw. But I think we're safe to proceed for this evening this way. So if there are no further questions or comments, I'll take the resolution, please.
The report number DS 23-28 entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14 Z1022 for 51043 Ron McNeil Line, Ontario Land Tribunal decision be received. That council pass the bylaw approved by the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that staff be directed to prepare a report with recommendations to be brought to a future council meeting.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Leach will move. Councillor Lewis seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Mr. Steele, you have another application, this one, consent to sever?
Yes, council with you, Madam Mayor. Before council tonight is a consent application for the property located at 6501 Springfield Road. This application was actually a resubmission of a previous consent application that had lapsed. At that time, the Land Division Committee had deferred the application based on comments from staff looking for additional information needed to review and support the application. Since the time of that deferral and the subsequent lapse of the application, the applicant has resubmitted with information addressing those comments. And current staff have reviewed this information, as well as evaluate the consent application against applicable consent and servants policies under the PPS, county, and local official plans, and find that the application can be supported based on review of those policies, and are recommending approval of the application with the recommended conditions. Concludes the presentation. I have questions from members of council.
Thank you for this overview. Questions, Councillor Wilson?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The property to the south, where is its septic system? Because the 50 feet radius from the water source in the backyard is a third of it's on the neighbor's property, so, but it's not marked where the septic is to the property to the south.
Mr. Steele, are you able to comment on that?
Clarify your questions to the location of the septic system on the south property as it relates to the proposed well on the parcel B to be severed. Is that correct?
Yes, parcel B has, well, the existing septic is to the north of the house. The sand point's in the backyard. But a third of that circle for the radius of where the water source is goes into the neighbor to the south of parcel B's backyard. Their sand point is in the front yard, which I'm assuming means their septic is in the backyard. So is their septic overlapping with that sand point, or it's got to be 50 feet from the neighbors as well? That's what I'm saying.
Through Madam Mayor, that yes, information was included as part of their plan within their hydrological report. So I can't speak to a certainty of its exact location. The report doesn't note any kind of concern of location of that well and identifying surrounding wells and septic systems. In terms of it's not a hazards have not been identified as part of the report in terms of any kind of incompatibility with the use. However, unfortunately, I do not have that information of its exact location. And that could be if there is concern as part of a condition, potential condition of approval. That if there's concern as part of the condition, we could, staff council is certainly able to attach a condition that would require identification of that septic system prior to any final approval being granted for the consent.
Counselor Wilson, would you want to recommend that that condition be added?
Well, if the present source is that sand point, they're already drinking it if the neighbor's got septic in the backyard.
So new development would not change what is there existing, so it may not be necessary to add a condition. Okay, so we would leave it as is. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, you have the resolution, please.
That report number DS 23-29 entitled Application for Consent to Sever of William and Eva Dyke be received, and that the application to consent to sever on behalf of William and Eva Dyke relating to the property located at part of Lot 20, Concession 3, Malahide, and known as 6501 Springfield Road be supported for the reasons set out in this report, and that this report be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis will move. Counselor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Carried. And Mr. Steele, you have another application for consent to sever this evening. Please go ahead.
This is a consent application before council today for property located at 580783 Chalet Line. The purpose of the application is to permit the severance of a surplus farm dwelling from the surrounding farmland. PPS, County of Elgin, and Township of Malahide official plans all contain criteria for surplus farm dwelling services. And staff have reviewed this application against this criteria and I recommend the application be approved subject to a zoning bylaw amendment application being submitted to rezone both the proposed severed and retained parcels, which has been included as a recommended condition as per the agenda package. So staff have no concerns with the application and I recommend the application be supported subject to those as previously noted recommended conditions. That concludes our presentation. Have any questions from members of council?
Thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none on this application, so the resolution.
That report number DS 23-30 entitled Application for Consent to Sever number E 73 23 of B and AM Reimer Limited be received, and the application for consent to sever number E 73-23 of B and M Reimer Limited relating to property located at concession 5, part lot 19, and known municipally as 50783 Chalet Line be supported for the reasons set out in this report, and that this report be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Wilson moves, Counselor Glinski seconds, all in favor? Carried. Next on the agenda, there's room for CAO reports. We don't have any reports from our CAO, but we have a brand new CAO. So I'd like to take the opportunity to officially welcome Nathan Diaz as the new CAO of Malahide. Welcome to our chambers and to your first meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm glad to be here and look forward to working with all of you.
And we're glad you're here too. And I think Director Boylan is glad you're here as well. So I take the opportunity to thank you again, Director Boylan, for such a great job of keeping things going while during the recruitment process. It's been much appreciated. Next item is reports of committees and outside boards. Any comments or questions? Because we'll receive them together. Any comments or questions on those reports? Councillor Leach.
To you, Madam Mayor. How old is the backhoe in question?
Director Gottby or members of the Fleet Committee?
Through you, Madam Chair. It, I believe that backhoe is 10 or 12 years old. It apparently is a common issue with these machines. So we did just have a good discussion about it and figured that you know, we'll address any other future problems when they come, if they should.
Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We had a good discussion about it, for sure. I think what based it, even if we repair it, it still got less, I'll have less into it than what it's worth. And if we can get 3 or 4 years out of it, hasn't got a tremendous amount of hours on it. And I guess our preliminary inspections are finding pretty good things. It's not full of debris. So if we can get it fixed up and in a couple of years and better trade-in values, it may be better than a new one. Who knows? Thank you.
There are no further comments or questions. I'll have the resolution, please.
That the following reports of committees and outside boards be noted and filed. The Township of Malahide Fleet Management Advisory Committee minutes of September 19th, 2023, and the Catfish Creek Conservation Authority's Program Services Inventory, October 1st, 2023 Progress Report.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Leach seconds. All in favor? Carried. Next is correspondence. There are 8 items. Any comments or endorsements? Counselor Leach.
I would like to support the Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act.
Yes, and this item refers to the reuniting partners and long-term care. And I agree. I was going to propose that as well. That I think we should send correspondence to express our support. Anything else? Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. One thing out of the Elgin County News, I brought it up about the speeding through Kingsmill Corner. At least it's on the record, and they are allowed to use the road, and that's where they're supposed to be, but if we could do something about speeding, but anyway, it's been noted, and I also brought up a concern I had with 74 and 52. There's been a tremendous amount of crashes there now too, so anyway, it's on the record, so hopefully we can get something, but speeding's all over. We all know that, so thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, resolution,
That item number 5 be supported and the remaining correspondence be noted and filed.
mover and seconder. Counselor Leach moves, Counselor Wilson seconds, all in favor? Carried. And now any other business? Deputy Mayor Whitner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to bring up our local business, Misty Glen Creamery. Won the London Business Chamber of Commerce Agribusiness category the other night. So good for them. They've got a beautiful new store and it's a growing business. So congratulations to them. Thank you.
Great to see them do well. Counselor Lewis.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Just recently, well, not too recent, but almost a month ago, received a letter from the Port Bruce ratepayers. Just with their concerns about tender going out for ice breaking services. There'll be a report coming. I spoke to Jeff Spoor and there'll be a report coming at a future meeting that should answer all questions in this letter. And I'll get back to them with a written letter.
Director Spore, did you want to add just a quick update of where we're at in the process?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The draft the draft tender is been drawn up already. I have a meeting with the CEO tomorrow and we will be discussing the final details of that. And just to work with Catfish Creek just to make sure they have all the details that we need on that. And it'll be sent out in the next few days. So.
Thank you for that update, and then the full report will follow when we're ready to go. Thank you. Any other business? Deputy Mayor Whitner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just another one I want to bring up, our bylaw enforcement. I was told we need to have updated bylaws so they can do their job. And we thought it might be tonight, but it's not on tonight. I think Nathan had a comment on that. That'd be great to hear if we could.
CO Diaz, go ahead.
Yes, I'm working with bylaw enforcement and they're working on getting the livestock bylaw addressed, livestock at large. There is a Pounds Act that does exist, so it is there. The only issue is when it comes to the full enforcement, it doesn't really specify, again, who can take on that enforcement. So that's why a livestock bylaw will need to be passed itself to give us some grounds for enforcement. Also to potentially stipulate set fines, for instance. Otherwise, would have to only be a Part 3 process where you'd have to have it put forward essentially to court. So a set fine process would allow it as a Part 1 violation, which would make it easier to enforce. But definitely by our next meeting, we want to get that bylaw up and forward and addressed. Otherwise, right now, we're hoping to get voluntary compliance and to follow up.
Voluntary, okay. Thank you very much.
Right, and I think we've discussed that overall, our bylaws and enforcement is, so I think we're going through a more comprehensive review. But if there are urgent matters in the meantime, then we'll consider them as necessary individually. But so I guess there'll be more to come on that. So thank you. Any other business? Counselor Cerna.
Gotta get this fixed. I just wanted to comment, actually on our meeting we had with the town, the East Ogden Complex meeting. I just wanted to compliment you, Mayor, on your steadfastness and your leadership at that meeting. It was very good. Council was behind you. It just went to show just how in my mind and what I'm hearing from constituents, I hope I said that right, just how dysfunctional this whole thing is with the town. And I can't believe that you can act like that and get the raise you get afterwards. I'm surprised I'm behaving myself, because if you can get that kind of raise after acting like that, I'm really, really surprised I'm behaving. Because I should really go wild and I should get a $10,000 raise. But no, my compliments to everybody here, and especially you, Mayor, that we did what we did. And it just shows that we are doing the best we can for our constituents in the township of Malahide. And I think everybody that watched that little clip, and it's too bad the whole meeting wasn't shown, that everybody that saw what they did knows exactly how well we're doing for them. So congratulations to everybody, and especially to you, Mayor, and for your leadership. That was quite the thing. And I also like to point out that one Elmer counselor that voted to bring it forward, Councilor DeRoche, I'd like to personally thank her for voting to bring it ahead, because everybody else voted against it and they didn't even know what they were voting against. They're voting against something, not knowing what they wanted to talk about. That surprised the hell out of me. So thanks again. Great job, everybody.
Thank you for that. So yeah, I think we continue to apply our concept of one team. We work together, and that includes one team. That team includes Aylmer when it comes to the EECC. But I think someone mentioned at that meeting that relationships take a lot of work, and that's okay. We're all prepared to do the work to make it work. So yes, absolutely. We will make it work. Any other business? So proceed to bylaws, please.
That the following bylaws be considered read at first, second, and third reading and properly signed and sealed. Bylaw number 23-67, Leverton Developments, Inc.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All in favor? That's carried. We're ready to move into closed session. We have a couple of items. You can have the resolution for that.
The council move into closed session at 8:02 PM pursuant to section 239-2 of the Municipal Act as amended to discuss the following: the security of the property of the municipality or local board regarding IT security review, and labor relations or employee negotiations matter regarding QP contract negotiations.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Leach moves, Counselor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Carried. And welcome back. We're out of closed session and we have a resolution.
That staff were given direction by council on the two listed agenda items that were discussed in the closed session for IT security review and QP contract negotiations.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis, Counselor Cerna, all in favor? Carried.
That bylaw number 2369 being a confirmatory bylaw be given first, second, and third readings and properly signed and sealed.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Cerna, Counselor Leach, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the final resolution.
That council adjourn its meeting at 9:13 to meet again on October 19th at 7:30 PM.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Glinski, Deputy Mayor Widner, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy.